What's up, everybody? Kyle here at Let's Talk Wax with Prospect Hot Sheet Week 10, a weekly series that I do covering the past week's hottest prospects. If you guys enjoy my content, please subscribe to my channel to help me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers. And if you guys want some more of my exclusive content, you can head over to my Patreon page. Over there, you get a ton of stuff for $5. You get 24 hours early access to all video information, a Discord server with over 100 members, autograph checklist breakdowns from 2019 all the way to 2020, and a top 100 Bowman Chrome autos under $50 list. So lots of cool stuff over there, but let's dig into the top 30 prospects from this past week. All right, so for first-time viewers on Hot Sheet, I want to go over my graphs and explain to you how I organize them. In the green, you can find all the information about the player, their age, level, their position, and their organization. And I also have under 25 on there because I don't cover any prospects over the age of 25. The purple line is their line from this week, and all the yellow stats, the season average, the season ISO, and the season K percentage are in yellow. I found recent comps prior to launching this video in the aqua blue, and you can see the release on the graphic above with the cards. Now, there's a little bit of confusion lately between the red and the blue numbers. So how I use red and blue, I consider red hot. If you see anything that is red, that means it's really good. And I consider blue cold. So the things you see in blue are going to be bad. Everything in black is just kind of average for what everybody else is doing at the minor league level. All right, so now that we know what's going on with the graph, we're going to jump into our 11 through 15 players. First, we have TJ White with the Washington Nationals. He's very young. He's 18.9, playing in A-ball. He's an outfielder who had 2 home runs this week. He struggles with Ks, but he hasn't turned 19 yet. You can see his season K percentage is 38.1. It's super high, but like I said, he hasn't even turned 19 yet, and he's a very young player. He's not a superior athlete, but he could develop into some power. You can see his season ISO is just under 200, which is pretty good. My cutoff for red is 200, and he's 2 points below it. But for an 18.9-year-old, a guy who hasn't turned 19 yet, to have just a 2-point sub 200 ISO is pretty impressive. At number 14, we have a repeater from last week, Alaric Solari. He's 22.9 in high A, so he's a little old for the level. He's a utility guy who hit 353 this week with a home run. Now, on the season, he's not doing anything spectacular. He's a career 219 hitter, so he may be a sell guy, especially since he's been on back-to-back weeks of the hot sheet. I think he's going through a bit of a hot streak right now. Like I said, his career average is 219. On the season, he's hitting 200 with a 166 ISO and a 31.3 K percentage. But his autos are only $5 right now, so there's not a lot of risk involved in that buy. At number 13, probably one of the hottest players on the market right now. He's a guy that lots of you comment, where's Jackson Trio on the hot sheet? Well, he's on the hot sheet this week because he had a big week. He hit 533 with a home run, triple, a double, and 5 RBIs. Now, he is the youngest guy on this list at 18.3. So he turned 18 about 4 months ago. He's playing in A-ball. He's hitting 367 on the year with a 225 ISO, a 25 K percentage, which is pretty good for a guy that young. You can find him in 2022 Bowman, but you see the asterisk. He does not have a first auto yet. He only has a first chrome. So he's got a really low buy-in, about $2 or $3 for a first chrome right now. You higher end guys can jump on some color refractors or low numbered things, but he does not have a first chrome auto in 2022 Bowman. But Jackson Trio is a guy that could really explode this year. He's already started to catch a lot of steam in the market, so he's a guy to keep an eye on. At number 12, we have another $5 to $10 auto, Jake Vogel with the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's 20.6 in A, so he's a little old for the level. He's an outfielder. He hit 500 this week with 2 triples and 4 RBIs. On the season, he's not really doing anything exceptionally well. He's hitting 225 with a 128 ISOP, so he's not hitting for average or power, but he isn't striking out a ton, so the K numbers are decent. Now, career-wise, he's a 228 hitter with a 114 ISOP, so the trend is kind of there for Jake Vogel as a guy who's not going to hit for a ton of average, and he's not going to hit for a ton of power. And guys like that in the hobby don't tend to get very much attention because they don't excel in one specific thing. But his autos are only $10. which is a cheap buy-in. And number 11, we have a guy that I really like. I was doing my Bowman autograph checklist breakdowns in 2019, and I was looking at Ciani. Mike Ciani with the Cincinnati Reds. He's got a brother, Sammy Ciani, but I like Mike a lot more than his brother. He's 22.9 playing in Double-A. He's an outfielder who hit 364 this week with 2 homers and 5 RBIs. On the season, he's hitting 267 with a 161 ISOP, which isn't great but isn't terrible. But he's got an immaculate 14.7 K percentage and a $5 auto right now. So this is a super cheap buy-in for a guy who's doing some things pretty well. He's put up career highs in almost every offensive category so far in 2022. So he's having a pretty big year right now, and a $5 buy-in is pretty cheap. And like I said, my comps were drawn prior to releasing this video. So if the market inflates, please don't bash me in the comments for saying his auto is $5. So we're going to jump into 6 through 10. All right, leading us off in the 10 spot is Kalai Rosario. He's 19.9 playing in high A, and he is a guy out of 2020 Bowman draft. He hit 615 this week with a home run and 4 doubles. Now, Rosario is a guy who hits for power. He strikes out quite a bit and doesn't hit for much average. But he's young for high A, so I could let the strikeout slide just a little bit. He's a career 258 hitter, but he's had back-to-back 30-plus K percentage seasons. So he is a little riskier of a buy just because of the strikeouts, but he's only $5, and he's still very young. He's still under 20 years old. So he's going to be in the 10 spot. At number 9, we have Matt Wallner at 24.5 in Double-A. He hit 500 on the week with a home run and 3 RBIs. On the season, he's hitting 274, but he's got a 250 ISOP. He's a lot like Rosario, but he hits for a bit more average. He's going to strike out quite a bit. His K percentage is 34.4, but like I said, he is going to hit for some power. He's got career highs in ISO and batting average this season so far, but he's also got a career high K percentage in Double-A. So the adjustment phase needs to hurry for Matt Wallner in Double-A because he is 24.5, and guys around that age tend to get overlooked in this hobby. At number 8, we have Thomas Saggese with the Texas Rangers, 20.2 in high A out of 2020 draft. He's a shortstop, hit 364 this week with 2 home runs. On the season, he's hitting 281 with a 152 ISOP and a 27.7 K percentage. Now his 207, he had a 207 ISO in 2021, so the power is there. This season, he's 50 points under where he was last year in ISO, but he still has time. We're only about a third of the way through the season to get that ISO back up, hopefully above the 200 level. But he's a pretty cheap buy at $20 right now. Thomas Saggese with the Texas Rangers. At number 7, we have Elly De La Cruz. And the Cruz is a really tricky prospect because he could be a superstar or he could be a complete dud. He's 20.4 playing in high A. He's getting reps at shortstop and third base, but he's gotten more reps at shortstop this season than he has at third base. So it looks like the Reds are trying to keep him at shortstop as long as they possibly can. He hit 462 with 2 homers this year. On the season, he's got a 301 batting average and a 301 ISOP. So he's hitting for a ton of juice. He's got a lot of extra base hits. He's had several home runs, but he's striking out at a 31.0% clip. Now his career K to walk numbers, he's got a 4.8 K to walk ratio and a 28.6 career K percentage. So he's a guy that battles with striking out. Now, whether he can overcome these by the time he gets to Double-A, that's the big question mark. He's a $200 buy-in, but like I said, he's probably one of the riskiest guys on this list simply because he could be a superstar. He's got the tools to be a superstar, but he could also strike his way out away from those tools. If he can't make contact in the higher levels, that big investment is going to go in the can. So for you guys that like risky prospects, Elly De La Cruz is your guy. He is going to be a go big or go home type of player. At number 6, no stranger to our list, Logan O'Hoppe with the Phillies, 22.2 in Double-A, hit 333 this week with 3 more home runs. He's got 12 home runs in 161 Double-A at-bats so far this year. He's also hitting 304 with a 292 ISOP and a 15 K percentage. So red across the board for Hoppe. And like I said, red is hot. his whole yellow bar is red. He's a big prospect right now. His autos were $15, prior to the season starting. Now they're up to about $40 in 2020 Chrome. So he's a guy to definitely watch. Now, before we get into our top 5 prospects from this week, I'm going to send you guys through the 15 honorable mentions. There's so many guys performing well in minor league baseball right now. It's really hard for me to only pick 15. So I've got 15 honorable mention guys that had pretty solid weeks. I'm going to start with the lower level minors and work my way up to the higher level minors. Out of 2021 draft, we have Wes Kath, who was hit 316 this week with 2 homers, but he's got a .225 career batting average, so he's playing well above what he did last year so far. Adiel Amador is having a huge breakout season. 368 with a home run this week, a double, 3 RBIs. He's batting .312 with 7 home runs so far in 2022. Big year right now for Adiel Amador out of 2021 Bowman. Hunter Goodman, we talk about him all the time. We talk about how he needs a promotion. He's 22.6 in A-ball, hit 2 more home runs this week. He just needs to get promoted. He needs to be in the higher upper minors and see what he can do there, because he's just destroying A-ball right now as a 22-year-old. Logan Cerny, another guy that could use a promotion. He's 22.7 in A-ball. He hit .421 this week with 2 home runs. He's old for the level, and he had a .219 batting average 2021. So things looking for, it's maybe a really good time to sell Cerny, just because his stats don't really match his pedigree right now. 20.2 high A, Pete Crow Armstrong with the Chicago Cubs. This kid can hit. He hit 2 home runs this week with a triple, a double, and 3 RBIs. He's got a .335 batting average in 2022 so far in high A, and he completely missed last year. I think he only played like 1 or 2 games last year. So having a really strong first full season debut in high A. Junkinsey Noel had 3 more homers this week, and he puts him at a total homer count of 14 in 2022. So you got a 20.9-year-old in high A who's got 14 home runs so far this year. He's a guy to watch. Angel Martinez with the Guardians, 20.3 in high A. He's got excellent career K numbers. He's a guy I really like. And the big question around Angel Martinez is, will he develop power? So he hit 2 home runs this week with 2 doubles, and he's starting to grow into a little bit of power. He's a guy who fell off completely in the back half of 2021 last year, but he's having a strong showing in 2022, and he's pretty cheap auto. He was on my Sleeper Prospects video I did last week. He's right around $15 right now. Heriberto Hernandez was hit 368 this week with a home run. He's got a .224 batting average on the season with a 36.6 K percentage. So it may be a good time to sell Hernandez if he's going to get hot, because his strikeouts are really plaguing him right now, and he's 22.5 in high A, so he's a little old for the level. Next, we have Jordan Diaz. This guy is a stud. He was a $5 auto when 2021 Chrome released. He's 21.8 in Double A. He's picked up a ton of traction in the hobby. He hit 2 home runs this week. He's got a .303 batting average this year so far with 9 homers. In Double A, he's a 21.8-year-old. So he's a guy to watch with the Oakland A's. Corbin Carroll, he's just a flat-out stud. I don't have to talk much about him. He'll be in the big leagues sooner rather than later. Jared Triolo had a huge season last year in high A and Double A. Now his ISO is down about 100 points this year so far from where it was last year in 2022, but he had a big week this week. He hit .438 with a double, 4 walks, and 2 stolen bases. George Valera out of the fresh 2022 Bowman in Double A hit .381 with a home run this year. Now he's got a .207 ISO so far this year in Double A as a 21.5-year-old. So that's some really good power for a young kid in Double A who really hasn't even reached his physical peak maturity yet. Francisco Alvarez hit 3 more homers this year. That brings him up to 11 home runs and 177 at-bats this year so far. Nick Allen, we got to go all the way back to 2018 Chrome for his autos. He had 4 doubles and 5 RBIs. Now, Allen's more of a contact guy. He's got a career ISO of about 97. So he's got a sub 100 career ISO. Not going to hit for a ton of power. Unlike Gerard Encarnacion, who has a ton of power, but he strikes out a bunch. He's going to finish up this list 24.6 in AAA. He hit .398 this week with a home run. All right, that's going to bring us to our top 5 prospects from this past week, and you always see a ton of red in the yellow section with these guys and not a whole lot of blue because they put up really good numbers. At number 5, we have Edgar Quiero with the Los Angeles Angels. 19.1 in A-ball. He's a catcher out of 2022 Bowman. He hit .529 this week with 2 homers and 3 doubles. On the season, he's hitting .282 with a 160 ISO and a 19.5 K percentage. So really good numbers for a guy who just turned 19 in A-ball. At number 4, we have Christian Encarnacion Strand, one of the hottest starts in minor league baseball this year. He kind of cooled off a bit over the past few weeks, but he had a huge week this week again. He's a guy who desperately needs a promotion to Double-A. He's 22.5 playing in High A right now. He hit .391 this week with 3 more home runs. He's got 12 home runs in 2022 so far. He's hitting .304 in a season with a 266 ISO-P. He's a guy that is really blowing up this year. Number 3, Colin Barber, who was a repeat from last week. He didn't make the top 5 last week, but he did this week because he hit 4 home runs with 7 RBIs and hit .421 over the course of this past week. 21.3 in High A. Now, he's a tad bit old for the level, but he's been plagued by COVID. He's been plagued by injury. He missed the whole 2021 season. So this is essentially his first year of professional full season baseball, and he's killing it so far. He's hitting .326 with a 204 ISO-P and a 17.7 K percentage, which is exceptionally good for a young hitter. At number 2, we have Spencer Steer, another breakout prospect in 2022. He's 24.4 in AAA. He hit .348 this week with 5 home runs. On the season, Steer's hitting .300 with a .320 ISO-P. So almost more than half of his at-bats, he's having extra base hits, and he's only striking out 15.2% of his at-bats. He is a guy who is very close to a call-up. I really don't understand why the Twins haven't made the call for him already, but he's got 15 home runs so far in AAA and 200 at-bats. So huge breakout year for Spencer Steer. At number 1, we have Alex Kirilloff. Now, this guy has been a prospect since 2016 draft. He had 29 at-bats in the MLB so far this year, and he's only hit .172, and he was sent back down to AAA on May 17th. And since then, he's been really hot. This week, he hit .380 with 4 home runs and 2 doubles. On the season in the minor leagues, he's hitting .330 with a 217 ISO-P and a 15.6 K percentage. So I really hope Kirilloff can get another chance at the big league level and really produce and work his way into that lineup in Minnesota. If you guys didn't notice, this week's hot sheet was stacked with guys from the Twins, but that's going to wrap up all 15 guys. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up this week's episode of Prospect Hot Sheet. If you guys enjoy content like this, please subscribe to my channel and help me reach my new goal of 10,000 subscribers. Also, if you want some of my exclusive content, check out my Patreon page. I'll put a link in the description. Lots of cool stuff over there for $5. I really appreciate all the views, all the subscribers, and everyone who currently supports me on Patreon. You guys rock. Stay hobby fun.